What is going on, everyone? It's the one and only, back after the barrage of videos I pumped out after Apple's March event. I have a really fun and interesting video today that took a lot of time and energy to create, but I wanted to do it because I myself was a tad bit curious. Today, we're going to take a look at the ultimate 2019 iPad Ultimate Battery Drain Test, a test I have yet to see anywhere on YouTube. You already know how we do it on this channel. We have the complete 2019 iPad lineup battling it out to see who gets King of Battery Life title. We got the two variants of the Pro models, that being the 12.9 and 11-inch models, as well as the brand new reincarnated Air that was resurrected from the grave. But that isn't even the whole gang. We also have the chunkier cousin, the 9.7-inch iPad, all up in the mix, as well as the little brother that is on steroids and packs a huge punch in such a little body. You already know, the iPad Mini 5. All things considered, this is going to be a good one, and before we start, we will go over the tail of the tape and discuss the internals and battery size of each device. Also, I know you guys are dying for my AirPods 2 giveaway, so subscribe right now if you're new to the channel and head over to my AirPods 2 review video to officially enter. The live stream is just around the corner where I announce the winner, so you won't want to miss it. Let's jump straight into this one though. Alright, so I first want you to pause this video and drop a comment letting me know which of the 5 you think will come out on top. Do you think the Mighty Mini will win? What about the new Air? Well, the results may surprise you. Before anything, I do want to let you know that this test was as controlled as it could be. All of these iPads are less than a year old, so battery degradation isn't that big of an issue here. The Pros were purchased last year when they were released on November. The 9.7-inch came out March of 2018, but I actually picked it up about 3 months ago, and the new Air and Mini are brand new, not even being a month young. I asked Siri to tone up the brightness to 85% on all, and everything down to app placement was also made identical on each device. Additionally, each iPad is running iOS 12.2, so the software is identical on each one. To identify each model better, I also decided to keep the wallpapers distinct to each respective marketing wallpaper, since these are not OLED screens. It should have a negligible effect on battery. Had these been AMOLED screens, I would have kept wallpaper identical. Additionally, airplane mode was turned on, do not disturb mode on as well, so only thing kept running essentially was Wi-Fi, which of course are all hooked up to the same Wi-Fi network. Now, let's move on to the actual specs of each machine, as this is where we will get a small glimpse of which iPad will potentially come out on top. Starting off with our behemoth 12.9-inch and 11-inch iPads. They are both rocking the A12X Bionic chip, which is the A12 on steroids. It is an octa-core CPU with 4 high-performance cores and 4 energy-efficient cores, which help out retain battery with background tasks and other single and multi-core tasks. The 12.9-inch comes with a 36.71 watt-hour battery, while the 11-inch boasts a slightly smaller 29.37 watt-hour battery. The Air, released earlier in March, has the A12 chip, which is a 6-core CPU with 2 high-performance cores running at 2.49 GHz and 4 energy-efficient cores, emphasizing that its cardio game is on point. It features a 30.2 watt-hour battery, being slightly larger than the 11-inch. Next up, the 9.7-inch iPad features Apple's older A10 chip, which is a quad-core design with 2 performance cores and 2 efficiency cores. The 9.7-inch iPad is a little thicker, which allows it to have a bigger battery, a 32.4 watt-hour battery, in fact being larger than both the 11-inch and Air battery. So we'll see how this translates into our battery test. Last but not least, the Mighty Mini features the same chip as in the Air, the A12 chip, which again features 2 performance cores and 4 energy efficient cores with a drastically smaller battery as compared to the rest, coming in at 19.1 watt hours. But let's see if that energy efficient A12 will allow it to swing back and be the underdog of our competition. Now, it is interesting to note that Apple rates all of these iPads at roughly up to 10 hours of battery on Wi-Fi and 9 hours on cellular. We won't have to worry about cellular since none of these have the LTE capabilities. Apple gives us a rough time frame since some of us us like watching videos, some of us like playing games, and others like listening to music. Here for this case, we go to the extreme and try to replicate a very grueling test on the poor batteries inside. So we'll see how close we get to those advertised 10 hours. So look, you want to see the actual test, and so do I. So let's hop right in. Alright, so I wanted to kind of get a little of everything, so I did several tests. First test was a Geekbench test, ran 3 times to max out those CPUs. For those who don't know, a Geekbench test does a variety of tasks that max out the CPU's true potential and then gives us a score, which is a good indication at how powerful a device can be. After 3 runs, we get the following percentages: 12.9-inch iPad, 99%, 11-inch at 99%, the Air at 98% battery, the 9.7-inch nice and powerful at 100% still, and the Mighty Mini obviously didn't stretch before hitting the weights because it dropped to 97%. In conclusion, a very minor hit to battery life across all iPads. Second test I did was to record 15 minutes of video on each device. To keep everything controlled and consistent, each device was adjusted to record at 1080p 30 frames per second. After 15 minutes of rolling footage, we do see some interesting results. 12.9-inch iPad Pro at a cool 93%. The 11-inch at a slightly higher 94%. Air at 93%. 9.7 iPad at 95%, and Mini at 90%. Still, all iPads are above 90%, which in and of itself is quite impressive. Third, I wanted to consume media on the iPad, as I'm sure many of us do. Whether you read articles online, browse Google, or like being up to date on global events, we all love doing it best on our iPads, and what better way than to hit up Apple's new magazine subscription service, Apple News Plus. Since I spend a huge chunk of time reading articles and sometimes even looking at math proofs, I left the iPad running for 2 hours and came up with the following numbers. So after 120 minutes, we get the following figures: 12.9, 68%. Huge hit to battery, but it's to be expected with the screen on for an entire 2 hours. 11-inch, 73%. Air, 68%. 9.7-inch finally slipped a little, 69%, and the iPad mini is taking a beating, dropping to 60%. Can it recover and pick up the pace? Stay tuned to find out. Moving right along, I have a question for you all. How many hours do you normally spend on social media? Chances are a lot of you spend definitely more than you should, which is why I decided to do the social media test next. Here, I went to the Discover or News section of Twitter and left it chilling to kind of replicate how much time we spend mindlessly retweeting and such. Here, after 90 minutes and 4 hours into our test, we start to see some of these batteries start to drop. Surprisingly, the 12.9 dropped to 49%, 11-inch staying strong at 57%, Air at 48%, 9.7-inch at 49%, and the Mini at 40%. Honestly, the batteries seem to be deteriorating at a rather similar pattern, but to be honest, I'm most surprised about the 12.9-inch not being higher. Maybe powering on such a massive display is starting to take its toll. They're all honestly holding up their own though at 4 hours in, but that's soon gonna change. I know for my younger audience, or shoot, even my older audience, since my 23-year-old grown ass is clan leader on Clash Royale, the next thing we'll look at is gaming. Obviously, there are more graphic intensive tasks than Temple Run 2. However, Temple Run is a game that continuously loops, which is perfect for tests like these. I had Temple Run running for a good 60 minutes, since that's about how much time I spend gaming on my iPad at night before I go to bed. Don't judge, it's hard being a clan leader out here. Anyway, thanks to the power of time-lapsing, all 5 iPads are still up and running, although a couple are starting to get gassed. We have 12.9-inch iPad at 26%, 11-inch at 37%, Air at 30%, 9.7-inch at 33%, and in last place, barely hanging on, is the Mini at 15%. Ouch. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, even though the Mini has the A12, I hypothesized the Mini would be the first to go just because of that much smaller battery size. Last but not least, the main reason people, including myself, love our iPads is to watch videos. You know it's true. Whether it be Netflix, YouTube, or Facebook videos, we all do it. For this, I watched a really interesting video that everyone needs to watch at some point in their lives. What I did was let this run until the iPad started dying one by one. This is it. The iPads have all been on for more than 6 hours now at 85% brightness, and they're still on, which I think is quite remarkable, especially, as I mentioned, it takes a lot of juice to keep these giant displays powered on for so long. Unfortunately, the Mighty Mini met its fate at 6 hours and 3 minutes. Sad facts. a lot lower than the advertised 10 hours. However, you have to consider that no one on earth will have their iPads continuously on and running at high brightness for 6 hours straight. The next one to go surprised me, but the rest fall soon after. To my surprise, the mightiest of the bunch, the older brother, the OG, the alpha male. You already know, the 12.9-inch had to hit that snooze at 6 hours and 55 minutes. I did consider the massive screen and how power hungry it would be. However, I did not expect it to be second to go. I expected it to be the penultimate one or the very last one. But now it'll be interesting to see which one is left. At this point in the competition, the 11-inch is still healthy at 13%, air on its last legs at 4%, and 9.7-inch iPad at 6%. Shortly after, at 7 hours and 3 minutes, only 8 minutes after the 12.9-inch, the Air is next to go. As you might have guessed, the 9.7-inch is right on its tail and also taps out at 7 hours and 21 minutes. Even though the 9.7-inch has the oldest chip, it still has a pretty chunky battery since the 9.7-inch is the bulkiest of the bunch, so that extra thickness actually helps by containing a bigger battery inside. Which, by the way, I wish Apple would do this. Like, at this point, I'm not even interested in tech getting thinner. I wouldn't mind an extra 3 or 4 millimeters if it means having longer battery, but whatever. Tim Apple and his gang just do what they want, sadly. So it's pretty clear now. Almost 8 hours, 7 hours and 54 minutes to be exact, we have our reigning, defending, undisputed battery champion of my iPad 2019 battery test, the 11-inch iPad Pro. Let me get that round of applause. So now what have we learned today? From first iPad to go at 6 hours and 3 minutes to 7 hours and 54 minutes, we do see quite a big disparity, but not as drastic as I first anticipated, considering the grueling strain we placed on the batteries. My assumption was right in that the Mini would die first, but I'm most surprised about the 12.9-inch. But aside from the Mini, the rest fell shortly after one another. Again, all conditions were kept constant. Brightness, Wi-Fi network, even down to every single app being in the same place and having all background apps refreshed so that there was absolutely nothing running in the background. This was one of the funnest videos I've ever had to do, and it took me a grueling 8 hours of just filming the actual test and countless more hours scripting, editing, and getting everything set together to be consistent. As such, if you enjoyed this video and appreciate the work that went behind it, please consider giving this video a thumbs up, as it really helps me out a lot and motivates me to continue putting out interesting and informative content. Like I mentioned at the beginning, subscribe to the channel to be entered into regular giveaways, as I'm just blessed with the best subscribers in the world. I just want to give back to you guys for supporting me so much. Follow me on social media to always be up to date on rumors, leaks, and polls. With all of that being said, I'm gonna hit recover mode, but stay tuned and I'll catch everyone in the next one. Peace out, mi familia.